Hi everyone, welcome to Easy Album Design today here at GTA Imaging. My name is Patricia Won and we're here to use some great software for album design called Memento-Pro. And we have some guests here in person and a whole bunch of people are watching us live streaming. So welcome, thank you for being here. Today's program is going to be basically about GTA imaging. I'm going to talk a little bit about me and some information about why photographers should sell albums. I'm going to go over some steps to fulfilling an album sale, because I think this is something that photographers often ask me about, and I just have some very basic general ideas on how to get the sale and how to fulfill the sale. Then we're going to go on to the actual technical part of using the software called Memento-Pro by Lumapix. I'll be doing a demonstration, and then we'll have a question and answer period. So this workshop will be approximately 2 hours, but we will take a 10-minute break, after which we'll go back to the demonstration, and then I'll take some questions. And for those of you who are online, feel free to chime in, and I'll have Trevor from Provocateur prompt me with the questions. So we'll get started. GTA Imaging is a family company. It's been in business for almost 40 years, starting as a company called MT Photo by my father-in-law. We are now serving professionals only as a wholesale lab, and we make great flush mount albums. And to get the albums, we'd like to help you design the albums and hopefully serve you better as a lab. About me, my name is Patricia. I'm the customer service manager here. I've been working here for over 25 years. I started as a student in high school, and over the years I've worked as a photographer, a retoucher, a designer, and now part of my role here is to help help photographers pick the products that suit them, that help them achieve the kind of brand and the business that they're looking to show their clients. I wanted to say thank you to Trevor for helping us with the technical part of this live broadcast. He does have some videos on YouTube with us about how to run a photography business, and he does do a mentorship program. So if you're interested, please contact Trevor. He's a great mentor. I've heard from other photographers who have worked with him. I also wanted to thank some photographers who have provided us with the images that we're going to use for this program. Adam Feldstein from Montreal and Jennifer Stadelman from the Ottawa area. Also, the Lumapix team have been great in helping GTA get the templates in and work with us in making this program really user-friendly. So thank you, Micheline, Fahad, and Denis. And so we're going to go on to why we should sell albums. Well, the main point is it's a great source of income, and this is something that professional photographers in the portrait and wedding, newborn areas are, really well suited to do. Albums will help you increase sales. They act as a portfolio for your work, and they give value to your images. A lot of times I have photographers come in and pick up their orders, their albums, and they're really surprised at how beautiful their pictures look when they're printed, when they're holding it as a display or as an album. And then the second thing is that selling an album is an extension of a photography service that you provide as photographers. So they're not products that are generally available in your marketplace, and they require some skill, the technical planning and thought. And these are skills that photographers have, and they're uniquely qualified to perform this service. Now we're going to move on to some basic steps to getting the album sale. You're going to have your client contract. Then in the contract, you're going to have the album sizes and spreads, what images are going to be there. Then you're going to plan the album, design the album, get a client approval, and then finally order and deliver your album. So I have all these slides prepared, and there's a lot of technical things, like little specific things that I've seen photographers sometimes have missteps, and so I'm just going to go over them very quickly, and I'll have these slides available for you. So please feel free to, just listen and enjoy. You don't have to write everything down. But basically, when you're selling an album, you want to make sure that you have the description of the album, the price of the album and the design, the price for any edits for designing the album. So a lot of times photographers say, oh, this customer has had me do 20 revisions, and it's not something that you want to get to. You want to make the process a little bit easier. Check your delivery dates. Make sure that there's not a date that you're going to miss what the client needs. And always verify spelling of names and dates. There's been a lot of instances where one letter or one number or flipping of the month and the day. So just double check those things. Selecting the album size and the spreads. So generally for weddings, you're going to do 10 by 10 and larger. Families are usually 8 by 8 and larger. And baby albums can be as small as 6 by 6, so that's something we offer too. But I do have photographers that will start at 12 by 12. So don't feel that this is what you have to do. It's a suggestion. And make sure that you're showing what you want to sell. Having a sample album is really important. And if you want to sell 12 by 12 album, make sure you're showing one, because it's hard for a customer to imagine what the 12 by 12 album would look like if you're showing an 8 by 8 or a 10 by 10. You're going to want to select the images, and so you have to decide whether it's going to be your job as the photographer to select the images, or you want your customer to select the images. Okay, or you might want to do it together. For a wedding, if you have like 1,000 proofs and you're showing your customer 1,000 images, you might not be responsible for choosing those images. You might want your customer to do that. But you could do it either digitally, like on the computer, or you can do hard copy proofs. So I'm going to just show you some examples of proofs. These are just Leicester 4x6 prints that I've printed with the file names on. And this is good for a lot of people who have a hard time choosing. If you have an actual print and they can see it and touch it, they might have an easier time selecting which pictures are, better for their album. And I'm going to show you a way you can use these in a situation where you're designing an album, because it's nice to have them, but they're also quite useful. Okay. So some photographers will even label their main poses, the ones that they want bigger. Like if it's a bridal album and you know that there's like 10 key shots they want to make sure that are big in their album, you want to know what those pictures are. And just perhaps before you present all the images, you want to cull the bad ones before you show the bride. Once there was a photographer that didn't do a really good cull, and the bride chose a really blurry image to be their huge wall portrait, and it was hard to say that you can't use this picture because it's too blurry. But the bride really wanted it, so we went ahead and printed a blurry image. So just make sure that you're showing the good images, the ones that the eyes are open and are in focus. Okay? Remember to retouch and get rid of like garbage on the ground, or like the bad shadows, or wrinkles on the necks, eyes, eyeglass glare, acne, those things. So then, how many images should we include in an album? And this is important because you don't want to be put in a situation where you've sold a 10 by 10, 10 spread album, and the customer comes back with 250 images. And it's really hard to fit 250 images on 10 spreads of 10 by 10 pages. It ends up being like a yearbook instead of a wedding album or a portrait album, where each picture is shown with really the sort of care that you want and the sort of beauty that you expect to have in an heirloom. So I just put together a chart of what I think should be a good number of images for most albums. So when you have a small album, you'll only want about 2 images per spread. When you get too big to like 11 by 14, 12 by 12, I'd say no more than 6. So a lot of times people can do more, and that's fine for, at the reception or, pictures of the photo booth, friends and family. But for your main pages, you want to keep that number under 6 per spread. Most albums will have 2, 3, 4, 6 is a good average when you do lots of spreads, lots of images per spread, to the focal images that go 1 or 2 per spread, because they really give you the best impact for that flush mount album. Okay? So then you'll want to plan your album design before you start your software. And I think this will help you save a lot of time when it comes to designing your album. If you plan your album, the layout, well, it will keep you from really scrolling through all the images over and over again before you get to doing the final layouts. So I've done it both ways, where you'll just put all the images on the light table and just start designing on the fly without a clear picture of where you're headed to. And then you'll run out of album spreads, or you'll need to squish pictures, take some out, put them back at the beginning, and then it's hard to keep a cohesive sort of line throughout the story. So I suggest that you plan your pictures ahead, and there are different ways that you could do this. So I wrote here, a wedding or portrait album, it's a story. So you want to make sure your story, it makes sense from beginning to end. And it's a story that you make with images and not with words. And so you want to check your sequence of events. You want to make sure that the flow is good, that it makes sense, looking through the images, looking through the pages, that it's telling one cohesive story. And so I like to plan my albums with subtitles. So what I mean by subtitle is I'll name each spread, a subtitle. So bride's house, groom's house, things like that. So I'll give you an example of it. But you could use hard copy proofs, or you could do soft copy, like digital images on your computer, to divide your pictures. So I showed you some proofs earlier, and what you can do with these hard copy proofs, it depends like what kind of person or photographer or customer you have, right? And do what's right, feels good for you. But this is one suggestion. If you take hard copy proofs and divide them into folders, you can plan your album this way. So for instance, I found the picture that I liked that's going to be my cover. And so you'll see I use that picture for my example here. And I divided the pictures and taped them into a folder. So it gives me an idea of which spread's going to have which picture. And this kind of planning will help you when you get to actually designing your album, which pictures I'm going to do where. So then it's more of an exercise of just making it look better than really trying to format it in your head as you're going along. So you could do it like this in hard copy form, or you could do it in your computers. What I wanted to show you also is in Memento, they actually have a way that you can divide your pictures as if they were folders, and that's called the timeline feature. So we're going to go through that in the demonstration, but I just wanted to show you that this is an alternative for people who are not comfortable using computers, or it's hard to see hard to remember what all the images are. So if you lay them out, you don't even have to bind them like this. You could have them like all laid out on a table, every single folder, one for each spread. And it helps in trying to lay out or make a map of what your design's going to be. So there are different ways to separating your images. You can do it chronologically, by location, by subject matter, like whose spread is this going to be, whose spread is that going to be, or what kind of outfits they're wearing. And then here's an example of what kind of subtitles or folder names that I use when I'm designing albums. So there'll be details, brides getting ready, brides with the bridesmaids, bridal portraits, groom, etc., getting down to the ceremony, and then family photos, which family photos, the details, the reception, and speeches, and photo booth and friends. Okay, so this is just like an example of how you can separate your images. Okay, for families, you can open up with one big family picture, then you can go to the first child, the second child, the third child if there's, so, different names for different spreads. It'll help you to organize your images. And then the next part of the album sale, it's going to be designing the album. And today's example is going to be using the Memento-Pro software. Memento-Pro is a software. It was created by Lumapix, which is a Canadian company based in Montreal. They've been in business for 15 years. And they're offering monthly subscriptions, whereas Lumapix was a purchase. Memento-Pro is a monthly subscription, and it was initially offered at 10 US dollars, but they've given us a 10 Canadian dollar price for our photographers. So it's a great price point, and it's really accessible for anybody who wants to start and try designing albums without maybe putting in that really big initial investment. Okay, and you can start this trial for free. You don't have to subscribe until you're ready to submit a final proof. Okay, so until then, feel free to download it, try it, see how it works, and take it from there. Finally, you're going to do your review with your client, get the approvals, and when you're doing the approvals, Memento-Pro has a really easy feature. You're going to just enter their email address, and Memento sends a link to download the PDFs to your customer, and they can reply to you saying that it's good to go, or these are the revisions that I want to make. And then finally, I would just say, just double check again, names, spelling, and date. So I've had brides approve their husbands' names that were spelt incorrectly. I've had moms approve babies' names, like last names, incorrectly, especially when you have the script fonts. Be very careful with the script fonts because it's hard to see E's, A's, O's, J's, G's, F's. Those things, customers are looking at the pictures. They're looking at how beautiful their layouts are, how beautiful their husband is, or how beautiful their dress looks. These are details that you just want to just double check one more time. Okay? And then finally, you're going to order the album. When you use the Memento-Pro that's from our site, it's going to upload us a set of high-res files, and it's also going to save one set to your computer. And these are the locations you can find them in your computer, depending on whether you're a Mac or a PC user. And then you just order the album spreads in rows, or if you're not there yet, it's okay. You can call me, you can call Andy, and we'll get your order in until we can get you familiar with rows and getting it ordered properly. I don't want the software, the ordering software, any of that to really make you feel like this is something I can't do, because it's honestly a very easy process, and we're here to help you, guide you, and make it as really painless as possible, because it's not as difficult as you might think it to be. So we're going to start our demonstration using the Memento-Pro software. And I want you to know that Memento-Pro has great support on their website, and this is where you can find it at memento-pro.com/support. They have FAQs, they have lots of written materials, they have lots of videos, and I went through all of them to see, what they were, and honestly, it took me less than an hour to watch all the videos and to get a really good sense of how the software works. And so without further ado, let's start. Okay. So here we go. When you start Memento, it's going to bring you to the screen, and it has projects, settings, photos, editor, review, and finalize. So basically, each of those headings is the steps that you should take when you're designing the software, okay? So you start at projects, and then we're going to do a wedding album. So even though it's for a baby or your family, wedding album, for us, it means Renzo's and Avenue books, okay? So anything that's flush mounted and anything that's an Avenue book, you're gonna start as a wedding album, okay? And we're gonna enter a name for our project. And today we're gonna start, let's do the family first. So we're gonna do family, and maybe we'll put a name on it. So this is I'm just gonna put my initials, PW, and we're gonna do create. You might wanna put a date there. You might wanna put the last name. If you wanted to sort in chronological order, you might put 2018-04-25 and then the name. So whatever works for your workflow, make it easier for you to find later on, okay? And create. And so then it brings you to settings. And for settings, when you're here, there's default settings that are already done. So you don't have to enter anything. The only thing I would say that is if you're doing an image cover, we're gonna change something, but we're not there yet. So I'm just gonna start with picking the album, which size and which number, which type of cover, okay? So along the bottom here, you're gonna see there are, I'm scrolling away here. There's a first line at the top. It's giving you some dimensions. I want you to disregard that. I just want you to choose the type of album here, Renzo or Avenue book, with the size. And then at the bottom, it's gonna say double or double plus cover. So all the products in here are double. That means it's a double page spread. And plus cover means it's an image cover, okay? We're gonna do this type of album, which is a 10 by 10. It's a fabric cover, but in the program, we're gonna call it leather cover, okay? So anything that needs a material, you're gonna select leather cover, and anything that needs an image, like this wedding album sample I have right beside me, then you're gonna do a double plus cover, okay? So we're gonna scroll all the way on the bottom here until I see 10 by 10 and 10 by 10 leather cover, and I've checked that. And then we're gonna do step 3 is photos. So here we're going to browse for our images. And I have a folder here from a family session. And these are the pictures that have already been selected. So these are not all the pictures from the session, okay? We're gonna pick just the images that we're gonna use for this album design. instead of scrolling through the maybe 150, 200 pictures that are from the session, okay? And so we're gonna select all, and we're gonna add this. And then you'll see that all the images went to the bottom. These are the light table, and you can scroll to see what all the pictures are here. If you're a Lightroom user and you use star ratings, you can sort your images by star, okay? I don't use Lightroom, so I don't have a star rating here. It'll just go backwards. So these are different ways you can sort, if you see here. So you can sort by the file date and time. You can sort by the file name, and you can sort by star rating. So we're gonna move on to editor. So we've picked our what type of album we're gonna do. We've picked you know, here which album size and which cover, and now we've done the photos, so we'll go to editor, step 4. And here is where most of your time is going to be spent in this program, in this editor part. And you'll see that there's lots of information here. You have some styles here. Okay, the default is going to be basic white. This is the basic white, and we're going to start in basic white. And then later on, I'm going to show you, after the wedding album, I'll show you how you can stylize this, the albums. Just to mention, before we start really going through all the nitty-gritty and all the tools, Memento-Pro is a very powerful software. If you're a Photoshop user, you'll really appreciate how much stuff this program can do. It's got gradients, fills, borders, size of strokes, size of the image frames, you know, guidelines, the shape of your corners. It's got a lot of things and a lot of pre-designed templates too. I don't want you to feel that it's like you have to use all of this. You know, just get down the basic tools and then play with them later. It's, it could look daunting at first, but once you sort of understand the, what each icon is, it comes to you, it's very natural in its flow. So we're just gonna do a basic white first, and then at the end of the wedding album, I'll show you how you can use some of those tools that we talked about. I won't go into them into great detail today, but I just want you to know that they're available, but it's not something I think you have to use right off the bat, okay? So here we are, we have our first spread open, and I want to do 10 spreads in this album. So this is the book mode. So here it's showing you the whole book. So in my book right now, there's only one spread, and I'm going to add 9 more spreads. Okay, so here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now here are my 10 spreads. And if you see on each one, they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 19 and 20. If you want one more, here's plus sign to add a blank spread. If you don't need this, or you change your mind, there's a minus sign to delete this page, okay? And now, this is a great feature that Memento has here, and it's called here the timeline. This is the eye feature here. And what this allows you to do is separate the images so that you can, you know, lay out your album, sort of like get your layouts or your subtitles ready, and then you can go in and do your final adjustments, okay? So here we go. I'd like to have the first image to be just, the first spread to have one nice big family picture. So I'm gonna drag this. Either you could drag it to the spread, or you can, you see this pink line here? It will it will make you a spread automatically. So I've already did all my pages here, so it added an extra spread. So I'm going to delete this page actually. And from here, I'm going to just drag and drop to the spreads that I want it to be. Now, you can either drag them horizontally to that preview, the slide bar on the bottom, or you can drag them to the top. Okay? So that's not the picture I wanted there, so I'm going to just open that up and just click on the image and delete. So this is enlarging one page, but I'm going to go back to the book mode to show all the images again. Okay, so my subtitles would be something like this. Full image, full family image, just the kids. Then I have maybe a kid's individual portraits. Then I'll do mom and dad only. Then I'll have the family on the country road. Then we'll do family with mom, family with dad, all the girls, all the boys, and we'll end with the nice silhouette of the full family. Okay? So I think actually we'll do these kids here in the tree. Then we'll do I'd like to have all these kids. So if I click the shift, if I hold down the shift and select all these images, I can drag them at once to one spread. There you go. And you'll see on the bottom of my timeline here that the pages have been split, and they're showing me page 7 and 8. That's spread 4. And all these are empty spreads. And the green bar above the images here, they're showing me what hasn't been used yet, okay? And then we'll go, whoops. We'll go here. And I'll do mom and dad. And family on the country road, mom with kids, dad with kids, and we'll just split these up. I'm going to go back to I'm going to delete from here and just show you how you can use this timeline mode to just separate the spreads by just clicking in between the pictures here. So you see how you can decide how many you want to be on that spread. So if I want this picture to be at the end by itself. So I'm going to put a marker here, and then later I'll drag it over to be at the end. But here I have mom with the girls, and then I have, so I have 10 already. So I'm going to have to put some of these pictures somewhere. So what I'll do is I can go select the images that I want and then put them on the spread that I want it to be on. And I have those 3, and I'll put them over here. Okay. And then you see how I wanted this family silhouette picture at the end? I'll just click and hold and just move it to the ending here. Okay? So this is like a basic layout, the mapping of our images. Okay? Then we'll go into cleaning it up, making the spreads look the way that would, highlight the pictures and not overlap. We're going to check for orientation of the images too. Okay? So in case you didn't want to use this timeline method of separating down here with the slide bar, another way you can do it is to show all the images in the bottom here. I think Okay, hide images used in project has been enabled. So one of the settings that you have is if you use the image, it's not going to show up in your light table anymore. So it prevents you from dragging up the same image twice into your album design. So I'll show you more of that in the wedding album design later. So let's go and check the images for each of the spreads here. Now, to go from seeing the preview of all the pages, that's the book mode here. We're going to go to the page mode now, okay? And we're going to go individually. This is the last page, so I'm going to start the first one. And just make my preview bigger. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing I might want to do is move the whole thing over. So if you grab anywhere along here, you can move over the image. And these are great guidelines that help you snap the images to the guide. If this is too far away from the edge for you, you can click and hold. You see that little balloon on the edge? And just move it over. And your picture will come with you. Then I would like to do that and maybe make the whole thing a little bit bigger to zoom the picture. But now I've got Dad's face like right in the center line, which is something that I really want to avoid, because even though the flush mount albums don't lose any image, it doesn't look nice to have it like right in the middle of your face. So I'm going to move this line over a little bit until Dad's face is clear. So I'm getting the side of his shoulder instead, and that's fine. And it's a little bit off on the bottom, so I'm going to pull this frame down here. So if I click on the corner and move this, it will keep that same proportion. If I just want to move up and down or side to side, then you're going to move these frame handles here. It's okay? So just keep in mind that. But say if I want this picture to come down a bit, I want more space above their head, then what you have to do is actually click on this middle icon, this cross here. Click and hold, and then move it down, all right? So this, I think the fold is a little bit close to the boy's face, so I'm just gonna do that, move it just a little bit, right? So that the center is just off of Dad's face, and it's equidistant to the boy's face. Now, if I want to see a little bit closer, you can zoom in. So there's a zoom slider, it's up here, okay? If you like using your keyboard controls, you can just do Control++ like in Photoshop, or Command++, and then Command ---- to make it smaller and bigger, okay? You can do spacebar and move your picture up and down on your screen. So hold your spacebar down, then you can see. And what it shows you, I wanted to show you this trim line here on the top. You see that gray line there? That's approximately where we cut when we're building our albums. So when you're designing, just keep in mind that we're putting together like physical pieces of paper and filling, and you know it's glued back to back and it's pressed down together. But what happens is that it's not 100% even. Like even though we're using, you know, we're using very good care and we're using a great press to make sure the album stays down, it's not 100%. And then what we do is we trim it, okay? And trimming it will give you that really nice clean edge here that you see at the edge of the albums. You see that? It's a knife edge, all right? But what that means is that not 100% of the image that was in the design is going to be included, okay? So you see at the bottom of that dress, okay? There was a little bit more. There's an eighth of an inch more of image on the person's image file than is on this page. So you want to avoid a situation where you're designing with the heads or hats or text or feet, anything that's important, you don't want it really butting up to the edge, because even though it's in your file, it doesn't mean it ends up in your final product. All right, so just keep that in mind. What's great about Memento is that it's showing you what's going to be covered. It's what's going to be not included in your page. So, for instance, if I had this image going right to the edge, it's going to show me which part is covered. Okay, so for instance, if I had, I'm zooming out. Okay, my frame, it's up over here. So I've gotten rid of that leaf here, over here. Okay, so see if I wanted like just a little bit of that leaf, and I left it like right there. If you did it in Photoshop, you would still see that leaf. But in Memento, that little gray line is showing you that it's not going to be included in the final cut. All right, so that's just, it's a nice little thing that Memento does, and it'll help you with your trimming and your guidelines, etc. Okay, so we'll go to the next page. So to see the next page, just click the arrow, and then we see here. So these ones, I'd like to have 2 full spread, full bleed images. So I'm just going to make like that, and move this bar up, bar to the side, and bar down. Okay, and then I'm going to see if I want to zoom this black and white image. What you do is you click on this mountain and sun icon. You got that? And you click and hold, and you move up and down or side to side. Okay, so I'm going to move like there, and I'm not letting go of my mouse. Okay, I'm still holding it down. Right. So I just want it to be the same, like similar, the left and the right sides. Okay, I'm going to hold this up, and I can move it up or down, and there we go. The next page. So now we've done like the basic tools of resizing our frames, and I want to show you how to do the auto shuffle. Okay, so here we have a picture of 4 children, and they have each a close-up and a far-away shot. Okay, now Memento has there are these icons up here, and these are the auto shuffle icons. Okay, when you're doing a Renzo album, you feel free to use this double spread auto shuffle. Okay, so when you click this, it will just show you all the different ways you can have the pictures. Okay, and it will design over the center line. Okay, this is something I really highly advise against. If you were doing an Avenue book, you would select this one, auto shuffle, because it will keep images away from the middle line. Okay, so if you auto shuffle this, it will give you different page suggestions that will keep your image away from the center. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that for now. But I did them one by one and made them like 8 equal squares in this example. So it's really easy to do this, but you could just design something like this yourself in just a couple of seconds, all right? There we are. And we'll just keep going on. And here's mom and dad. Let's do an auto shuffle here. So I like this, but I want to flip it. I want the larger horizontal one to be on the left side. So then we can either do, here we go. That's a letter C. It's a shortcut on your keyboard. There is a let me just go through my slides here. I'll find you here it is. If I right click on my mouse, it'll show you flip image, horizontal, flip. We don't have, whoops. Oh, that's actually the image, not the layout. Okay, there you go. Well, I'll find that for you. And just keep going for now. But I just remember the shortcut keys, so I'm just using my keyboard. I'm sorry. I have it in a slide. I'll find it. Okay, we'll keep going. And I don't want to cover so much of that image. And we'll keep going. And it looks like all the images, like you want to just double check that your horizontals and your verticals are being maintained. That's something that sometimes this program, it will take a horizontal picture and make it vertical. So just watch out for that. You don't want to cut out like people in a group picture. So just double check that you're getting your full image for that type of situation, all right? And that's and this is an easy album design with just about 30 pictures for a family album. So there we go. Then we're gonna go to, this one is a leather cover or a material cover, so we don't have a cover to do. Then we're gonna go to step 5 in Memento, which is review. And we go here. So send to review, send JPEGs for customer review, create a customer proof. So this one will download it to computer. And then we'll do create a printing proof. So this is a little bit bigger than customer proof, but the customer proof, they're gonna have a watermark on it, okay? So I'll go back to my slides to just make sure that I've touched on all the main parts of the software. So we did the wedding album, choosing the picture. I'm going to show you this in the wedding example. Building your pages and the tools, the book page and cover modes. The timeline mode, page guidelines, the trim lines, center lines, and these are page mode tools. Okay, so here's where you can flip and rotate your images. I'll show you those in a second. Auto shuffle, moving pictures. So we'll go on to more detail on how we can use all these tools and changing images. Here are my keyboard shortcuts. So you'll have a copy of all these. So I just find it's easier sometimes to use keyboard shortcuts for the auto shuffle. And then we're going to do style with the wedding album and cover. And this is going to be okay, for the review. So I just want to show you what the review preview looks like. And it has a big, see, it's a watermark. That's a default one. And it's to show your customer like what the layout's gonna be. And you can see any text like that. It's gonna be easy to see, all right? And then you would go to, so let's send to review. Here you go. So this is my test account. And I have to sign in. Okay. Okay, my company name and my email address, phone number, my customer details. So we'll just fill all this in. $7,831 and customer details. So I'll just send it to myself and my email. And the project link will expire on May the 9th. And you say, hi, Patricia, here are your layouts. and then send for review. And it's going to finalize, and it's going to upload the pictures and send to my customer. And email has been sent to your customers with instructions on how to complete the review. And a copy of it has sent to your inbox. Okay? And I'll just show you what that looks like on your computer. And then you finalize. You're about to continue. Continue. And here we go. And render. And so you'll get a 300 dpi version, and you'll get the proof versions in your computer. You'll see here how easy it is to get them. And it's very quick. Like you'll see, we've done this in all of half an hour. So once you get used to this kind of process, you'll see how easy it can go back and forth. You'll probably spend a lot more time fine-tuning it at the beginning, but once you've used it a couple of times, it'll be really, really simple. Okay. So I'm gonna cancel this for now because I want us to continue. Actually, I think this is a good time for a break. And what we'll do is we'll break for 10 minutes, and we'll come back at a couple of minutes past 8 o'clock, and then we're going to start our wedding album design. And think of the questions that you'd like me to answer, and I'll try to answer them as we're going along. Okay? Great. Thank you. Hi everyone, we're back live and we're going to start continuing our workshop on easy album design. My name is Patricia Won. We're at GTA Imaging and we're using the Memento-Pro software. And I'm going to show you how we can design this type of wedding album. It's a flush mount album. It has a photo sway cover. It's a full image wrap. And we're going to start this. And I want to show you, you see how I'm struggling? It's a little heavy, so here we go. It's got black end sheets and all the pages are flush mounted. And you'll see we have multiple images designed on each spread. And I like big images on albums. I suggest approximately 6 images per album spread. But you'll see it has a lot of impact when they're really big on the page, okay? So this album has 20 spreads. And I'm gonna show you how we can use the software to design this album quite quickly. I can't promise that I'll remember all the layouts exactly as they are now, but we'll do something close to it. And I just want you to get a sense of what we're working towards. So most of these pages were done with a white background, but I'm also going to show you later at the end we can use decorations like these swirls here. You can use a gradient. That means it fades out on part of the image. Okay. I'm going to show you how this is a basic black background. So those of you like black, if you do a black background, you might also do a black page core. This one is white. All right. And here we have more black. And as I mentioned earlier, towards the end of the album, I don't mind putting a lot more pictures because this is where, the bride and groom like to see more pictures of their friends and family. And I think it's entirely appropriate to, fill the last few spreads with a lot more pictures. Okay? And I like to put one really nice, a dancing picture or a feature picture at the end of an album. Okay? One thing that a lot of people fail to do is brand their albums. So if you don't have a logo die yet, where you're stamping on the inside of the back cover, consider putting in a logo at the back of your cover image. So if you're doing canvas cover, photo luster cover, photo sway cover, any of those, it's entirely appropriate to put your studio name at the back. It doesn't need to be as big as this one, but I'm just showing you, you have all this real estate. Don't feel that you can't use this. So you might even put another picture here, right? And use that. Here, put the names, bride and groom here. And just remember when we're designing, if I put this down on a table, you want the names to be right side up instead of this way, because I've seen that done too. Okay? So just a little note there. So we're going to design this cover too. Okay? I find it easier to use Photoshop, honestly, to design cover images, but it's really easy to do a Memento as well. So I'm going to show you how this can be done. All right? So without further ado, let's design a wedding album. Adam Feldstein was kind enough to allow me to use his images from this wedding. He had sent me 700 and something pictures from this wedding. And I got it down to about 150. And from those, I didn't use all of them for this album. I think I used about 130. This is 20 spreads. And earlier I had a chart showing you how many suggested images per spread. So I suggest 6 images per spread, 20 spreads, about 120 pictures. So I used a little bit more. My feeling is you want more coverage for your really beautiful shots. And remember, it's not really the number of pictures that you're including in an album. It's you want to include the best ones, the most beautiful ones. And I think that if you have too many very similar pictures, it can get sort of lost. So, you know, just think about really editing down, try to pare down the number of images. I think you can struggle trying to make everything fit. If you have like 200 pictures and 20 spreads, it's tough. You know, either that or we can make you bigger albums. We can do 40 spread albums, 50 spread albums. But you want to make it manageable, and you want each image to really, you know, be showcased in your album. Okay, so here we go. Get my glasses. And we're going to start on projects. So again, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Six steps to Memento. I'm going to start here. I'm going to, save my family program from earlier. And we're going to start a wedding album. And like I said, wedding album is all Renzo albums, all Avenue books. And here's a name for my project. So I'm going to go wedding. And I'll do April 25. So I'll remember this is the version. Create. Here we go. And we're on settings. So I'm going to choose this. I like square albums. I find it's easy for me to design, but we have all of them here. So you could do vertical 11 by 14, horizontal 14 by 11. I'm going to look for 12 by 12 Renzo with double and cover. So double and cover means it has an image cover. I think I passed it. Here we go. Do this again. And where are we? 12 by 12 leather cover, but Renzo 12 by 12 double and cover here, okay? And then we're gonna select our photos. Here are my photos. And here, see if I didn't want everything in this folder. You can select all and then just, you know, you say, I changed my mind about these pictures. I don't want to have the stairwell coming down, reveal. And then you can add. But we'll just put everything back in and then click add. Say if I edited an image and I wanted to include it again, but it's not showing up on my light table, my options here. You just need to refresh your folders here. So this, a circle with the arrow, that's refresh, okay? And then you can select all and add it again to your light table, okay? So then we're gonna move to editor. And like I mentioned before, this is where you're gonna spend the bulk of your time in this editor mode, okay? So we're editing pages, we're editing covers, and here is book, page, and cover layouts, okay? So first, we're gonna look at the book. And why we're gonna start here is because we're going to split up our images. And if I move this line, it will show me all the pictures down here, all the available pictures. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you what happens to the pictures as I put them in. See, when I added that, oh, it disappeared. I'm gonna change this option. Show file names. So here are all the file names. And hide images used in project. That's unchecked. So what it does is it shows you all the images that you are using in this program. When you use one picture, it's going to see highlighted in green. So that green corner means that you've used this picture. Okay? If you're afraid that you're going to use something twice, don't worry too much. What happens here is if I use the picture twice, that image turns amber. Okay? Say if I saved this project and then I went back a different day and I moved the picture. I moved it to a different folder. It doesn't live at the address that Memento-Pro knows it to be. What happens is that it will give you a red screen. Okay, so the image will highlight red, and it will say this image is missing. Okay, so there's this way to organize your pictures, and I mentioned earlier that I like to use subtitles for my image spreads. So in my head I have, or I might write it down on a list, or I might have physical folders. I have an idea where my album pages are going to be, where the images are going to go for each spread. Okay? So we'll go back to dividing the pictures into the spreads. And I'm going to go to the page mode just to delete this one and go back to book. We're going to use the timeline feature again, because I find that instead of using all those like physical folders on the computer, if you don't want to do it that way, this is a really good alternative, but still have sort of that map, that guideline in your head as you're starting to play around with the images, okay? The one thing to keep in mind with this timeline mode is it's actually sorting these images by the date stamp, okay? So if you have two shooters, you want to make sure your timestamps are synced so that when you put them all in the same pot, they're going to sequence themselves correctly by time and date, okay? If you're worried about that and it's not going to sync well, then you can go and you can manually rename the file names so that they'll sort in order at least. Okay, so that's something to consider too. So here we go, using the timeline method. I'm going to just plop these, I'm going to click between the pictures where I want my page spread to end. Okay, so I want a details page, and I'm going to stop here. And then this is the groom's items here. So I don't want those, but what I'll do is I'll make one for the groom, and then I'm just going to drag the other pictures into the earlier spread. So the wedding dress, I want it to go here with this spread, the first spread, the perfume. I want the grooms to get together with the groom's items here. These are his socks. This is the groom reading his picture. Okay, let me just make sure that's right. Okay, and then we go to the bride's shoes. So I want the bride's shoes to go in the first one, so I can drag it on top, or I could drag it sideways, okay? Here we go. And this is for the bride's getting ready stuff. So there's the bride's detail. Then I have the groom's. I think I'll have a groom getting dressed spread. Okay, so I'll have all these of the groom together. Maybe I'll put this guy here so that he's part of the details sequence. And I want the jacket as well for the groom stuff. I want the groom getting dressed by himself here, and I'll put that. And here's another, the bride getting ready sequence, plus the ladies, the bridesmaid, up to there. I would like this, her reading the letter from her groom together with the bridesmaids. Then I have the grooms, the groomsmen, the car, all the car pictures. That's going to be one spread. You see how easy that is? Just to like divide all the images into different spreads. And then I have this one in between the brides. So I'm going to just drag him into there. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know that there's 5 spreads. Then I'd like a bride's portrait spread. And you see, I have got bride, groom, groom, bride, groom, bride. So I don't like this sequence. I'm going to put the bride and the bridesmaids after the bride's details. Then I'm going to do a bride's portrait. Okay. And you'll see that down here, my timeline has switched now. It's gone from, it's put the album, the images per spread in sequence of the spreads now. So it's not in the original sequence of the time and date stamp, okay? And that's helpful later when we go to edit our images. There we go, we have all the groomsmen. Now we have the bride and her family, and the bride coming down the stairs, and so many stair pictures, and I think this is too many pictures. So I'm going to just do, I'm gonna include these all, but later I'm gonna remove some of the images. But why I'm gonna include it is just so that I don't have these extra pages, extra images for the spreads that I'm not gonna use. They're always gonna be included. So just to get them out of the way, I'm gonna put them together, even though they're not gonna remain there, okay? Then I have the car and the bride coming out of the house, and the bride coming down the stairs, the bride in the car, and the bride arriving at church. So I think I want the bride arriving at church with the beginning of the church ceremony. So I'm gonna stop it right there. And later I'm gonna take out some images that I think maybe I'm not gonna use for the album after all, okay? Then I have the bride, arriving at the ceremony, and we got up to there where she's gonna kiss her mom before they start the wedding. Then we have the ceremony itself. I like to have a big picture of, sometimes like they're coming out of the church. So I'm only gonna have a few pictures here. And then perhaps one big spread of the entire group after the ceremony. That's always a nice big picture. And then I have the doves and group pictures. So maybe I will include the doves with these outside the church. And then we have family pictures. I like to separate groom's family one spread, bride's family one spread. If you don't have enough spreads in your album, then keep grooms on one side, brides on another. Also, if there are mixed families, watch out for mixed families. Sometimes there's gonna be different albums if they're divorced parents. You might need separate album designs. So, and if for the bride and groom's family, just talk to your bride and groom and ask, how do you want the family pictures to appear in the album, okay? Are they okay on the same spread, or do they need separate spreads, okay? If they're divorced parents for the group pictures, sometimes everything's amicable, but if they're not, just, you don't want to presume that it's okay to put the divorced mom with her new partner on one side and the divorced dad on the same album spread. So that's just one little thing you want to keep in mind for different families. So I like to keep one spread for one side and the other. And I'm just going to do this quickly, and I think I'm doing it about right, but here you might spend some more time in dividing the images. And usually for an album like this, I'll do about 2, maybe 3 spreads on family photos, okay? So we're already at, this would be 4. So I think I'm gonna change this and put one here and one there, okay? Now we have the bride and groom portraits. And here, this is the image that I'm going to use for the front cover. So I am going to actually remember that and remove it. So I'm going to go back to, I'll add it to a spread and I'm going to remove it later, just to try to remember that I need that for the cover. Here we go. I think these are all one scene, so I'm going to separate this at this spread here, and then 1, 2, 3, And we are at 5, 10, 15, 17, 18. We're at 18 spreads. So I'm going to just take this one, go back here, and just move these pictures, combine them to another spread. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, and I'll move them to here. And then I'm going to delete this one. And I'm just going to save I'm going to make 3 more spreads for reception. Okay, so I'll go and make 1 spread here. 1. Do all the details. And this is a party scene. And we'll do, we'll just end it right here for our demonstration, okay? So I have 21 spreads, and that's okay for now. So I'm gonna go and show you how we can stylize and make this different and unique, okay? So if we double click on one page, it will bring us to the page mode, okay? So we double click, or you could just go to the page mode. And if you want to go back and forth between book and page, you can use your keyboard shortcut, which is a tab. The tab key will bring you back and forth, toggle between the book and the page mode, okay? And here I have, you see these detailed pictures, they're covering some of the dress, and I don't like that because I want to see the dress bigger. So I'm going to do an auto shuffle. And if I don't want to auto shuffle everything, it's okay. But if I don't want to, another thing you can do is click on this collage icon, and it will show you on this window all the different layouts that are possible. So I think what I'm going to do is just adjust. I'll choose this one, and then I'm going to close this layout window. So on a Mac, it's going to be this red X, but on a Windows PC computer, the X will be here. So you just close this window. And then I want to change this picture. See if I want the bouquet to hold a more prominent position. I want to change the bouquet to the dress location. So if I click on an image, I'm going to get this individual image icons at the top. So just click on the opposing arrows, the arrows facing each other. And it's going to show you all the places you can put it. So say I want to put it where the dress is now. Okay, I can't see the flowers, so I'm going to click on the middle star cross and just shift over the flowers that way. Okay? And say if I don't like this covering this image so much. Okay? I'm going to click on it. So remember, just click on the image first. It's not going to it will click on what's over on top. And notice that even if I click on a picture that's behind this picture, you'll see that the frame bars that I can use to edit this picture, the bouquet, it's still highlighting for me. So I don't have to necessarily move this picture to change the bouquet. I can still access this picture. So in case I wanted it to be a bigger image like that, I just drag it like this, okay? And I could do that, but see if I just want it to be half the picture. And then I want these ones to be smaller, okay? And I want them all to be horizontal. So what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna click on this, I'm gonna make it small. And you see the numbers? It's showing me how big this picture is getting, okay? And so I want it to be like around a third. So let's just say about 3 inches, okay? And then I want this picture, I'm gonna move it up. And then I want it to be about the same. So I had 3.5 there. Oh, there, it landed 3.5. And then I'm gonna move this picture, I'm gonna move it down here. And do you see how it just automatically snaps to be just beside the shoe picture? You see how great that is, right? And then, you know, it takes a lot of the guessing out for you, okay? So you could go into this a little bit more detail, and you can use the V. If you're in Photoshop, V is for move. I click on V. Oh, sorry, that's shuffle. Okay, I'm close. There. You could just, I guess it wasn't the V. I'm just going to move it up a little bit. I can use the, on my keyboard, the up and down, just to move it up. And I'm clicking down arrow, and I get it pretty close. You see that? So now this one, I'm going to do the same. Now when I move this, you see it's going to go, and it made the edge the same distance as the bag picture, okay? So that's something about Memento that I really like. It makes all these, when you change a layout, it will keep all your borders the same so that you can make really even looking collages, okay? So I'm just gonna do that really quickly. And then I have my bottom picture here. And then, but I changed my mind. I still want the dress to be the focal point. So I'm gonna click on the opposing arrows. I'm gonna change it to where the bouquet is. I'm gonna click on it and then just move down a little bit, all right? And so I'm happy with this one. I'm gonna move on. So here, I just wanna make sure that you see like this picture, it's a full vertical image, but it's not showing me my full image, this bride picture here. So I'm gonna auto shuffle again until I get something that's a little bit more even. I think these are too many pictures. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete some pictures. So I'll click on a picture, like this one, there's two very similar ones. So I'll click on this picture, I'm gonna hit delete on my keyboard, and that gets rid of that. There's another dress picture. I already have dress here, I have a dress at the beginning, I have a dress, she's hanging up her dress, so I think I'll delete this picture too. And then I have just two individual bridesmaids receiving a gift or hugging, and I don't think it lends too much to the album, so I'm gonna delete these two. And then I'm gonna auto shuffle again. And this is about closer to what I want, all right? And we'll move on. And for instance here, I like to see, I wanna see this picture, this image of her smelling the flowers to be a little bit bigger. So I think I like this one. And it's not covering her face. And I like the way she's looking at the camera here. I'm just gonna move it down because I wanna see the top of her hair here and there. In case I wanted to see it like more of the image, what I can do is just make it a little bit skinnier here. And then just make sure when you change the sizes that you're zooming out 100% because you don't want to have crop the image too much. All right, so just click and the sun and mountain icon, click and hold and move your mouse down without letting go of the click. And moving on. So I think generally you have an idea of how we can change the pictures, the size of the openings, the location of the openings. Now let's go into some of the more stylized looks, okay? So let's do a style where you can change the whole album in one click. And this is something that Memento does, and I think it's really easy. So let's go back to the book mode, okay? These are all our spreads again, okay? So like I mentioned, the default is basic white, okay? So if I click on basic black, would you like to apply the selected style to the entire book? Apply, okay? And so what it does is now with one click, I've changed all the backgrounds from white to now black, okay? If I want all the pictures to be black and white, you could do that as well. And just select apply. And it's going to update. All my images are now black and white. You might think, when would you ever do this? I saw in a situation where a customer had a family memory book with scanned pictures from a long time ago till now. And I guess they didn't want like the 70s orange in a lot of the pictures and then the 80s, the neon and stuff. So by converting everything to black and white, it looked really nice. It was very classy and it was a different way to present an album that maybe you hadn't thought of. And sometimes it it can sort of modernize like old family pictures in a way that's sort of fresh and new, okay? And then let's try a different style here. Here's the champagne. And you can take a look at these. I would suggest you do this before you actually design your album, like just play through the styles if you want, if there's something different that you want to see, and so forth, okay? If in case you wanted to just do one page at a time, you could do that. I was just doing the whole book to show you that you can change the entire book with one click, okay? But I'm going to go back to my basic white because I like basic white, and so we'll do that. I want to show you the different tools for each image now, okay? So let's go to a spread that just has just a few pictures, okay? So I'll double click this. When I click on one image, you're going to have these different little tools here, okay? And so when you click on one image, these tools here on the side show up, all right? If I click on book mode and I have this, you see we don't have the same tools available, all right? So every time you click on a single image, you're going to have different tools available to you, all right? And so here, say I want to try something different. So I'll show you what each of these tools mean. So apply options to apply to the selected frame. There's 3 dots. So flip the vertical image, flip the horizontal. So let's go back. Be careful of using these. It's usually not good for people's faces. So like when it's objects, it's okay. I don't think it's necessarily good for people. This is a spacing tool that highlights if you have more than one picture selected, okay? Oh, sorry, it's not. Here's the spacing. If you see here, I just, it will change the default spacing between the pictures if you are building your album like frame by frame, okay? So say if in this spread I wanted to add a frame, like add a picture. If I click here, I can add one more picture and I can just edit like that. I want to add another frame here. So in Memento, frame is just like a node or an opening for an image, okay? See, I changed my mind, I don't want it. Click on delete on my keyboard and it's gone. See if I want to add some text. So here's add a text. Double click here to change it. So when I double click, you see the outline of the frame area, the text area. And I can change the font. And I can change the size. And then there's all these tools here to edit your text, okay? But I changed my mind. So I'm going to click on this and delete. Okay, and then I'm going to just bring this back again. Split the selected frame by columns and rows. So if you wanted to make one image look like a grid, you could do that here. So that's 2 and 2. Apply. And it just splits one image into different pieces. So I'm going to do Control Z on my keyboard. That's undo. So I changed my mind. I want to go back to where it was. Undo. Control Z. Here, align frames to one another. So these are different sort of effects that you can add to the image itself. So if you want to change the image, all right? So if I wanted to make it look cold or dramatic, so it looks like it's like an HDR or like a sharpening filter there. Different blurs, and if you go through each one, you'll see like there's different image edit capabilities here in Memento. But I'm just going to leave it at normal. Gradient effect. This is where some of the image can get softer. Okay, so if you see that? So if I wanted to make it there, and if I wanted to change the angle, all right, so you see how it's moving there. So I'll make the softness less soft, so you can see like the change there. So this is good for when you want one image below, and say you wanted the picture on top to stand out more, and you wanted to have like sort of a fade out look. This is how you could do that. Say if you didn't want white, say if you wanted black for this one, so you just change it to black and say, no, I changed my mind and go white. But you see when I did the black, it just did this page. If I go back to the book mode, you'll see that, you see, it's just this spread that turned black. It didn't change the entire album. If I had done that style change in book, it would have made all 21 spreads black at the bottom. Okay? So I'm gonna just do the decorations really quickly, and then I'll show you the cover, and then I'll take any questions. If you have questions now, like as I'm going along, please feel free to let me know. And I'm really happy to show you, because I won't be able to show you all the features in the program. Yes, Olga?
Okay, the fading effect.
Yes.
Here you showed from the right side.
Yeah.
Right? Can you do this from the left side?
Yeah. Yeah. So the question was, I was fading from the right side. How do you fade the left side? Okay, so here's the angle there. Okay, so if I do it in the middle, it's the left. And then if I do all the way to the left side, that means it's fading from the right. And then if I put in the middle, that's fading from the left. I guess it's in degrees, so it's angles. Like I can actually click on this and type 180, so I'll get 100% like a vertical line. Okay? Yeah. So I'm going to change it back to white, because I like white. So I'll put this like that. And then say if I wanted to add a decoration, so a swirl or something. Memento has a lot of swirls and decorations already in the program, so you don't have to buy. Like this is all clip art that's included. So this is really nice. So if you click on My Photo Collection here, it gives you My Photo Collection, My Decorations. So you can include your own PNGs. Okay, so it's like a file format that has a transparent layer, okay, on the outside. So you go to Style Decorations, and these are the ones that are included with Memento. And they're really nice ones too. I was really surprised to see them. Okay, so here's little lines. So see if I want this trim, and I click this, and I just drag it. Ta-da! And then I want to make it bigger. So you just like you would do for the other images where you just change the frames up and down, side to side. That's how you would change it. And then you click on it to move it. And you see all the grid lines are popping up. And the warning line is coming on. It's probably because it's getting pulled apart and it's not going to look sharp, okay? So here, the resolution of this image is below the recommended quality threshold set in your user preferences. So you see, this ends up being 24 inches wide, the album. So if you can imagine the decorations, I'm making it go across about 20 inches right now. It's saying it's too big. So I think it's intended to stay around 4 or 5 inches, and I've made it 20 inches. So it's saying, hold on, rethink this. So anything yellow, exclamation mark, or red, that means please read what I'm saying, okay? So we'll go back to this and we'll make it smaller again. Remember, if I click on the corners, it's gonna keep the original aspect ratio, right? And then I can even change the color of this, if I can remember how to do it. Show border edge color, no, not that. Okay, there is a way. I'm not sure exactly right now, but remember that it comes gray, but you can change these decoration colors. If you need to know that, I'll find out for you later. So there's that. There's decorations. There's appliques. So you can bring this, and you might put it here. and you might want to put it below your picture so it's behind like a background. So to do this, you would go to, let's see, it's one of these ones, shape and border. Okay, so you see this multiple sheets here. So if it's saying order, so it's like layer up, layer down, right? This all the way down, down one, up one, all the way up. Okay, so that's all the way up. This is down one, up one, sorry, down one, all the way down. Okay, and then I don't like this one, so I'm going to delete this on my keyboard. Okay, and we're going to continue. So is that good? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll go on. So if you go through all of these, you'll see what's available. And there's lots here. So like if I wanted to frame this one, I could put it on top here, and I could actually make it look like it's a frame over this image. So if you had like sort of like a whimsical sort of design, you could, you know, add like little frames, and you can make it, you can change the opacity of it so it could look lighter and more ethereal, okay? So I thought these were really nice, like, because I hadn't seen this in the materials from Memento. So they have all these nice little flourishes and designs here, which I thought were really nice. Okay, we're starting to run out of time, so I wanted to show you cover, okay? How to design the image cover. And so what we do is you click on the cover here, book page cover, and the cover here, this gray part is the part that's going to be covered or wrapped around. So if I show you this cover here, there's a part of the image that goes on the top and then behind, and then gets tucked under this end sheet. The important part to note is that in our templates, we need this whole part filled. And so when you're designing in Memento, this gray part is the one that's filled. I want you to disregard this green line. This is not needed for us, okay? And we just need the spine as well. So we need the spine and the gray part. And the gray part, it's gonna show, it covers the part of the image that's gonna wrap around, okay? So I'll show you my example. If you don't know how to, if you're not using Photoshop for this, then that's okay. You can do it in Memento, but this is how you would do it. So I wanna show you my example. Here, I'm gonna add the image. So I'm going to add these to my project. So I go back to editor. I'm going to edit, and I want to edit my cover. And instead of decorations, I need to see my photo collection. And here are my covers. So this is the actual one that I have here that I used for this album example. And you'll see, like I said, I want you to ignore the green and ignore this dotted line here. It's just the gray part that's being cut and moved around. Now, to give you an idea, compared to our rose templates, here is the blue lines are the spine. There's a pinch line. This is this line here that if you see, there's a slight line on the spine here. So you don't want to design on this, what we call a pinch line. If you have a dark cover, it's going to turn a little bit gray. If it's a light image, then it's not going to affect that. I want you to see what it looks like in Finder without the without the gray lines covering all the pictures here. So just give me a second. And I want to show you like what we use in, say, Photoshop. I don't think I'm doing this properly. Whoops. Here we go. So this is the image that I was just showing you in the Memento. So that blue is actually covered by that gray border in Memento. Okay, so just try to keep that, that in mind when you're designing. It doesn't show in Memento, but that's the part that's going to actually wrap in your image. And then, if I'm doing this right, so to design that cover, what I'm going to do is, first I'll delete this picture here. I'm going to add an empty photo frame. I'm going to start from this. I'm going to move it right to the corner here, and I'm going to pull it down to the bottom, and I'm going to pull it over to the side. Okay, and I just take an image that we already have used. And there we go. So if I move this, I just want to show you that. I just want to cover up to that second spine line to get this look here, okay? And then what I'll do is I can put the text and then rotate it 90 degrees, okay? And here I will put another photo frame here. And say if this was my logo, I could put a logo there, all right? And then I would go to review and then finalize and go on like this. So this is telling me that I used the same picture twice in this album. Do you still want to continue? And I would just say send to review or continue. Create a printing proof. And then this is my file name, and then I render. And then I'll have a set in my computer and a set to send to my customer, okay? So that's generally Memento Pro in a nutshell. It was a lot of information, I know. But if you have any questions, I'd really be happy to answer them right now. Any questions from the online viewers?
Yeah, and so when you use a filter to change the image, does it change your original?
It does not. The question was, when you use a filter to change an image, does it change your original image? And it does not. It's a program. It will render it into a different folder. So you'll have all your original images will still be protected in your original folders. Memento Pro will compute or change, render the images to whatever settings that you've put, and then save it into a different new folder. Okay?
What about the page material? Like I saw there was an option for silk paper.
Yes.
So
the question was, where do we choose the options for different page materials and stuff? And that would become in ordering to the lab in a different software. We call it Rose, which is our ordering software for online. So they will have all the options for all the covers, the pages, the thickness of your page, all those are later. This Memento will design the layouts for you. So it's gonna piece everything together and make it, fit all the pieces of the puzzles for you. But then your finishing options, it's ordering to the lab. So that's a different process. And I'm happy to help you with those choices later. Yes, Trevor.
So just to clarify, what does this, as a final act, like once you prove to your customer, you're like, okay, I want to send it to the lab.
Yes.
What does what is Memento export? JPEG, PDFs?
JPEGs, so the question was, at the end of this process, what does Memento do? Where did the files go? And here we go, open folder. The Memento Pro will render JPEGs at 300 dpi in the final PDF folder, and it will render 150 dpi with the watermark with the letter C in the proof folder. So let's look at that. Here's the proof. It opens automatically to where the proof folder is. So here we go. And so the proof is in a PDF, sorry. Proof is in a PDF format. So this is easy for your customer just to like scroll through. They could just like literally slide down here and see all the pages. Okay. And final PDF will have the 300 dpi resolution that you're going to send to the lab. Okay, and just remember, we get a set also. So if you don't want to send it again to us, you don't have to, but all the options are in rows for you to choose all your finishes if you're doing this during non-office hours. So you would go to, if you want to search for it on computer and go in Documents, Memento, Projects, Final PDF. And final PDF is actually going to be in JPEGs, okay? So don't let that throw you off. This is where the JPEGs are. And this is, I'll show you the proof PDF. Again, that's an actual PDF, okay? Any other questions? We're good? Well, I guess we can wrap it up. Trevor, is that good? We're all set. I think we're going to just finish a few minutes early. Thank you, everybody, for coming and tuning in. I was really happy to present to you today. If you have any questions about using the software, ordering albums, or any other lab questions in general, please feel free to give me a call or email info@gtaimaging.com. And I hope to see you again. Save the date for July 18th, which is our GTA Imaging Conference Day. We're going to have some great speakers, and tune in. If you do not receive our emails, please join our newsletter group, and you can find that on gtaimaging.com, and subscribe to our emails so that you get all the specials. And we're running some really great album specials right now. So